Damn, what is up with the squad? It's Cess, your favorite Auntie with Uncle Tendencies. Welcome to Cess Talk Sports, BY's PoliSports Tea Time, where sports, politics, race, and culture collide. Y'all know who I am. And today, we're going to unpack Malcolm X, not as history, but as a playbook for sports world we living in now, okay? Now, I'm standing up and sitting down, fighting for my right to party, so y'all work with me while I'm working with y'all. Now, Malcolm warned us about exploitation, about control disguised as progress, about power moving through laws, policies, and narratives. That same system is alive in sports right now, Lil. And this is why it's a good time that we're talking about this. Because I thought it was really disingenuous. What's up, Chris? I thought it was really disingenuous that in the midst of this CBA negotiation taking place, Adam Silver already got out there and told them what they wasn't going to get. Mm-hmm. So are we really negotiating in good faith? See, but that's okay. And sometimes it's also interesting how history comes back to repeat itself, because sometimes people don't see it like that. So I thought this was a really timely conversation to have. So I appreciate you putting this one together. Now, like I said, Malcolm had warned us about the exploitation, control disguised as progress, power moving through laws, policies, and narratives. Think about what I'm saying now. What's up, JJ? Laws, policies, and narratives. I'm pushing back on narratives every day. Every day, narratives become the new. That's the new thing we fighting out here. That same system is alive in sports. From how black women athletes get paid, promoted, covered, criticized. The playbook didn't disappear. Switched up uniforms. Now we gonna connect the dots. Awareness, accountability, action. Progress ain't progress if the power structure stay the same. Y'all know I ain't gonna pour the tea alone. Political Lil in the building with the receipts, the politics, and the truth. Lil, set the table for us. What's going on?
All right. What's up, Auntie Cess? And what's up with everybody? Appreciate you all tuning in. You know, it's always a blessing to be, doing this on Tea Time. We need to become more politically aware and politically active because we're getting smoked out here. You don't even know it. It's laws being changed. They in court, in the Supreme Court, trying to tear down the Voting Rights Act. So it's a lot going on. And if you're not politically astute, you'll miss what's happening. You'll look up and the game will be over. But, we're not, and we're just not here to gossip about games. We're here to expose how this game is being played. And this game is called power structure. What Malcolm X laid out back in the 1960s, unfortunately, it still echoes today. Especially when you look at the experiences of black women in sports, and this CBA is becoming a vantage point, that you can look at. This is going to be a good litmus test to show you all how power, is moving, trying to move, and how the future, can be dictated. So from the way they portrayed to the way black women are paid, it's all connected to these same power systems that he warned us about. And that's why this conversation is so important right now, because the world is watching women's sports rise. But we need to ask, who really benefiting from that growth? So today we're going to connect the dots, break down a little bit of the history, and show how social, economic, and political forces are still shaping what we see on the court, on the field, and even in the headlines. And this isn't just a sports story. It's a social story. It's a power story. And the truth needs to be told. So Auntie says, let's go ahead and kick off segment one and give the people a little bit of this historical context.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. And I want to connect the dots around the CBA. And I want to, and the reason why it's so important for me to have this conversation, we appreciate y'all pulling up. Five of y'all, like and share this thing. They both right there. Share it in the chat, so I know you pushed it out. Let's get the conversation going, because the CBA, and we've been saying this, and this how you know that women's sports is hot. In my lifetime, you couldn't grow up to be a professional women's basketball player. Not in the United States. Now you can grow up and be a professional women's basketball player in 3, 4, 5 leagues around here. Your league, their league, everywhere league. WNBA, Unrivaled, WBL. Upshot, this shot, your shot, next shot, right? All these people out here making this money off these women's backs. How many of these leagues are really empowering them for ownership, really baking equity into their structure? This is why we got to talk about this. This is why you got to know what's going on, and this is why knowing your history is so important, so that you don't repeat it, because history is bound to repeat itself if you don't know. So let's connect the dots. But before we connect the dots to the game we watching, we got to go back. Y'all know we always got to go back. Okay, so let's back up. We're gonna rewind. We're gonna go back to Malcolm X laid out this blueprint. He broke down social degradation, economic exploitation, and political oppression. Okay, so social degradation, economic exploitation, and political oppression. That was the whole playbook of how power operates in America. So lock that in. It wasn't just about the segregation. It was about the control of image, labor, wealth, voice. The control of image, labor, wealth, voice. You control that. You control everything. Athletes back then, they put on a display for entertainment, deny ownership of power. Sound familiar? Okay, never mind. That mirrors exactly what we see in modern sports. The same forces Malcolm called out still shape who gets celebrated, who gets paid, who gets silenced. So this is the key, though. He wasn't just predicting, he was instructing. Liberation starts when you recognize the system for what it is and stop playing by the rules. That's why these young people are so important. This is why the Flaw J. Johnsons are so important. Not because of their pursuit of a national championship, but because she's coming into the league with 20 acres, 40 acres, $4 million in the bank, and I don't really need your money. Me.
Your chump change.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need what you're offering. I can pay me and a couple people on the team if you need me to. You need me to cover a payday? Because I got it like that. But we got to recognize that this is the time to strike while we have these resources. This is the time to lay down the foundation to be able to really set up systems that give back to the community, to set up systems that really pour into the next generation, to build pathways to careers that create generational wealth. This is why this is important. So, Lil, Malcolm was talking about how Black people were socially degraded through narratives, images pushed about us in the 60s. So let me ask you this. When you look at how the media treats Black women athletes today, Angel Reese, Serena Williams, you pick one, it's pretty much the same. Do you see that same degradation just dressed up in new language?
Absolutely. You know, what we're seeing now is the same playbook. It just got a new vocabulary. In the 60s, they used to call our athletes unfit. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, unruly and unworthy. So now they done switched up the language. They say, oh, she too emotional. She too aggressive. Or they claim you're not marketable. That's all coded language that still paints Black women as out of bounds when they show any kind of confidence or dominance. And you look at Serena being criticized for her passion to Angel Reese being called, you know, classless for her confidence. It's the same narrative. Black women can win, but they can't own the win. They don't get to celebrate how they want to celebrate without this, you know, repackaged, you know, policing. I call it a state of police because they're always looking to, you know, police your behavior, police what you wear, police how short your dress is, how long it is, you know, whether you're in heels or whether you're in flats. You know, it's always some reason to target Black women and especially Black athletes, you know, for the police and other, you know, the power system trying to police them.
I mean, you know, and it's been the same for decades. You know, I think we saw it in the Black quarterback. You wasn't smart enough to be a quarterback, couldn't remember the plays, whatever the coded language was they used to use about that. You know, they be a quarterback their whole career, and it's time to go to the NFL, and you got to go play in the CFL to be a quarterback because they're gonna turn you into a wide receiver or a defensive back, right? It's always that, you know, it's kind of like that. She speaks so well comment. Oh my gosh, that's one of the, you know that tongue in cheek. Oh, you speak so well. Yeah, I'm a human.
So articulate. You're so articulate.
You're so articulate. Yeah, most people are. Come on, you know, what are we talking about? Got to make it make sense. But here's another one though that they do. Here's another one that Malcolm said. Economic exploitation was about how our labor built wealth that we didn't control. So now when we see Black women dominating in college and pro sports, money, marketing, ownership going elsewhere, is that not the same exploitation? Just with a Nike logo or something on it, or a WNBA logo on it, right?
Facts. It's the same game. It's just, you know, better branding. You know, Black women athletes, they, you know, we know they the engine driving the sport right now. They the ones bringing the talent, the culture, and the fans. but they're not the ones cashing in on at the top. You know, these schools, these leagues, and these corporations are still the ones profiting real profit. So these players, you know, they make the product valuable, but they don't control the product. And this is the same kind of exploitation that Malcolm X talked about. Only it comes with endorsements and press conferences instead of a plantation owners. You know, it's a different era, but it's actually the same system.
Got it. Yeah, you know what? At some point, we got to talk about how the shoe companies is throwing the rock and hiding their hand, because they're making all the money, and they kind of set and they kind of setting the labor market by when and how much they sign these young people for. Right? Think about that. If I catch you in high school and give you a nice Adidas contract, Nike contract, whatever that is, I'm kind of setting the market for how you're what these young people are going to make to me. Right?
Yeah,
they're signing them up everywhere. They're signing them up everywhere, and they're directing to me where and how long they go to certain schools. So it's real interesting. It's really a real interesting space in sports right now. Like you said, it's almost like the new .com. That new whatever, it's the new hot era, right? And so this is like where all the money is. It's the branding and getting to this money here. In this virtual space where it can be real but not real, but we still ain't really got no control, no ownership. But let's move into the first piece of, because we're gonna talk about each segment one by one. So let's take a deep dive into social degradation. And Malcolm told us this is how the system devalues and dehumanizes Black folks. It's through images, language, perception. Okay. Fast forward, and we see the same playbook in sports against Black women. Media, confidence from a Black woman, angry, aggressive. White woman, fire, competitiveness. You think about how a Sophie Cunningham is marketed, right? What did they call her? The enforcer. She had that one game where she definitely was, being an enforcer, being a little bit tougher. I forget who team she played. Y'all remind me in the chat, but the next day, like, her jersey sold out, right? She had took a tough play. I forget what it was she did, but jersey sold out, and they was like, "This is what you want. This is WNBA basketball. It's fantastic, what it sound like." But one little hip check from Kennedy, and Kennedy over there in Saudi Arabia. You know what I'm saying? Can't even get on the floor in the WNBA. See what I'm talking about? But again, it's the narrative. It's the words. It's the character assassination dressed up as commentary, and that's not analysis, okay? Because it has impact, because it shapes how fans see players, how sponsors invest, how history remembers them. People walk around here right now and they'll tell you Kenny Carter is a problem, right? They'll tell you Kenny Carter is a problem. Here's the thing: Kennedy Carter has probably played in 5-6 leagues, right? Just this last year. You only heard that she was a problem in one. Is she a problem? I don't know. But I tend to lean towards she's probably not as big as a problem as y'all make it seem that she is in the WNBA, because she's been able to find so much success other places. She went and won an MVP someplace. She went and won a championship someplace. She went and won all the money somewhere else. I mean, listen.
Said all the money.
Listen, if you don't think the kid that made a bag, man, y'all better check what these international teams are paying, right? So Kennedy is still generating generational wealth, but the narrative and the jacket that they put on her, you would think that Kennedy eating noodles and playing at the Y, trying to figure out how to make it around here. That's not what's happening. How sponsors invest, how history remembers them. Serena Williams got dragged for showing emotion. Angel Reese, classless for celebrating. Dawn Staley team, too physical after winning titles. That's not about the game. It's about who gets to define excellence. And that's exactly the system Malcolm was trying to warn us about. Control the narrative, control the power. And that's why I always tell y'all, spend your social media currency wisely. Push back on bullshit narratives. Don't like, share, and subscribe to nonsense. And I want y'all to let me know in the chat, do you think the sports world has really changed since Malcolm X's time? Or do you think it's just evolved into a more polished version of the same old system? Y'all let me know. But let me put this on the table with you, Lil, because Malcolm told us that media has been a tool of control. How do you see that playing out when it comes to how Black women athletes, and I mean, shoot, at this point, the way the WNBA is acting, women athletes are covered today versus their peers? Is it still a form of modern day social degradation through storytelling, especially with the Black women? Let me know.
Absolutely it is. See, the media still controls the lens, and that lens is often distorted. So when Black women succeed, their power gets minimized. When they struggle, their pain gets magnified. And a perfect example was the Aces. When they were going through that painful period where they weren't winning games and this, that, and the other. Oh my Lord, they were getting torn out the frame. But now that they have won the championship, you haven't heard too much about it. It's being kept real quiet. Is being minimized. Okay, they won a third champ. They mentioned dynasty, but they ain't really trying to push dynasty. And I haven't heard much push even from the league to keep their success going. And I imagine if Indiana had won the championship, they'd be blowing our ears off, by now. So you have to look at the coverage. White athletes, they always call them trailblazers. And then when Blacks be doing the same thing, it's always some controversy. Even with Angel walking in the Victoria's Secrets thing, it was controversial. But now you got certain white girls, knocking on the door. I want to do that too. This, that, and the other. So it's not just bias; it's just narrative control. The media, they like to shape the story and brainwash you at the same time, because so many people can't make up their own mind. So they tell you, oh, this person is likable, or this person is marketable. They'll tell you, oh, did you see her certain person tears? They deserve sympathy. And that ain't really sports journalism. It's actually social conditioning in real time.
So, and okay, listen. Wow. Okay. See the fact you said a lot of stuff right there, Leo. You said a lot of stuff right there. So, and I want to deep dive into that a little bit, because we talk about the tears, we talk about how it looks, we talk about where we're at now, right? Angel Reese walking in the fashion show, going to the Met Gala, but Asia. Let's talk about Asia, right? Asia is unapologetically herself, and I think the one that needs to be marketed more, but we can't get her out there. And for the love of God, I can't figure out why. Now, everything that y'all wanted to say about her during the season, when they were going through the troubles figuring out their team, trying to get to the wins, she wasn't marketable, she's not MVP, she's not this, she's not that. Heavy as had to wear the crown, because she went through all of that and finished on top as the champion. And I still don't know if anybody that was against her really apologized or really gave her due or really covered her like they should have, like the parade. Like, I dug for that content. It was on TikTok. I don't watch the other networks as much, but I don't really remember seeing a whole lot of congratulations Asia or congratulations Aces or man, they stuck it out or any of that. But like you said, this other talent in the league, they don't even have to be a champion, and we see them all over TV all the time. The narrative would be, if you're on the outside looking in and trying to figure out if you like women's basketball or not, that this person that they're pushing out is the winner, is the standard. And that's the stuff that we got to be able to push back on. And another thing, if the media and the sports industry have built these coded double standards around what femininity and leadership look like, where does that leave Black women who show dominance, confidence, or power, like Asia? Because I think the system is still punishing her for not fitting into the box it created, even though she is the straight, marketable female that they said they wanted to be the face of the league. It would be her. but they're not pushing her. So let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, you know, the moment a black woman shows strength of confidence, you know, she's seen as intimidating instead of inspiring. And I think that a lot of people are intimidated by Asia as opposed to being inspired by her story. She has an incredible story. So, you know, when black women lead, you know, people call them arrogant. You know, if they speak truth, then they're called angry. You know, the system still can't handle a black woman who owns her power without apology. And so that's why we see so many of them being judged harsher for the same behaviors that make others fan favorites. And the message is clear. They love her talent. And I'll keep it specific, you know, on Asia. Love her talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but they fear her voice.
Let's talk about
that's the real punishment.
Well, let's talk about. I'm gonna throw something else out here because it's just me and you talking at the tea time. I don't see no comments. Y'all getting these comments if y'all out here because this is what I also want to know. How much of not marketing Asia is about not also having to market the fact about this black man that she has standing behind her. Actually, standing behind her, standing on the side of her, right? How much of this is about not having to tell that story? Because they keep trying to play him like he just, her boyfriend, this, that. This is how you support. This is. I don't know. I don't get into the couple goals and all of that. What I'm into is relationship goals and all that. What I'm into is what my granny and them told me. You present one way in public, and then you take care of the rest of that stuff at home behind closed doors. If there's issues, you do that. The way that they show up for each other in public, that's not marketable. That's not something that you want to talk about. That's not something that's worth celebrating. That's not something that's worth putting on TV. This is two professionals out here. Think about that.
But look how the advertising being put out. You always see a black male presented with a white woman. So the system, you know, and I noticed this just over, I would say, the last 5 years, and I'm like, you know, what is going on here? You know, you would first think, oh, well, maybe they, you know, doing a little diversity, this, that, and the other, but that's not what it is. They don't want to see a strong black man with a black woman of any kind, but especially a black strong woman. And so there, you know, you're gonna see now. Watch how they market Kelsey and the young lady. He's what's the young lady's name that he's getting ready to marry? Kelsey, the football player.
Travis and Taylor.
Now watch how they push and prod and pump them as this perfect idealistic couple, but you won't see. Now she's at the top of her game in the pop thing, and he's a football player, but you know, Bam is considered one of the top centers in the league, and then you got Asia, and we don't need to speak about the level she on. But you're not gonna see corporations rush in to try to market because they don't want a strong black family. They don't want that symbolic.
Somebody should be marketing them. Asia and Bam should be in a commercial somewhere. Is they both Nike people? What we waiting on? A1, Bam. You know what I'm saying? Something, I don't know. Bam, A1, put it together. I don't know. Whatever it is, but it's interesting to me. And then they always ask him the silliest ass questions. Like they be trying to get it, like they be trying to catch him up to say something crazy. I'm learning for her too.
Right.
You keep trying to dim the light, trying to make it about me, trying to make it seem like she got a championship because she's dating me now. No, I'm better because of her. She's better because of me because we pouring into each other. Because that's what we supposed to do. Meanwhile, they keep saying Asia. Listen, Asia is living her best life, and she's doing it unapologetically her way, and I love that. Her parents is doing. She got her parents out there. We know her parents. Bam is out there. This is the type of story that you want to be telling. Ain't nobody set them down. Ain't nobody brought the Wilsons on their show that talk to them. See, if Oprah was still out here, she'd have had the Wilsons up there, Asia and Miss Eva and Roscoe and Bam. You hear me?
Right. They don't want that.
That's another thing. Every time you hear Asia say something, hey y'all, it's just God, y'all. That's another thing they don't want to talk about. Every time you hear Asia say something, I'm just so humble. I don't know, y'all. God got me. I don't know. It ain't nothing but God. Man, they just sent Dion a letter since last year telling him to quit praying with the people. Listen, if you don't want to be in the prayer group, don't come in the prayer group. Everybody's old enough to make decisions. Now, if the prayer group, if you step back, don't be in the prayer group. But if you want somebody to pray over, you step into the group. But see, make your minds up. See, we get into these narratives and all this. They promote single black women to be independent and black men with white wives. They have a lot of strong black couples. Simone Biles, Asia, Russell Wilson, etc. Great point. Great point. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And that's the thing. If Asia mama had to decide from if she was gonna feed the family or pay the light bill or get Asia some shoes to play basketball, that story would have been on ESPN, Fox Sports 1, NBC, NBA, Good Morning America. It'd have been everywhere. Oh, the struggling. Oh, it was just her. And sometimes they was eating just cheese sandwiches and riding to the AAU tournament. And she had to move in with her coach. And then we had to send the kids someplace. And, mama had some trouble. So mama went away for a while and daddy wasn't there. If that was Asia's story, man, Asia would be everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But because that's not her story, because she comes from a place of faith, because she comes from a place of family, because she comes from a foundation of giving back and community and love, because she comes from there, they ain't talking about that. That ain't marketable. But that is just the example that we need to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what's marketable for your community. Make it make sense.
Yeah, that and I mean that's a great point. They and even in the football thing, the rumor is that they want football players to come from broken homes. Homes where there's not a father in the scene. I'm looking like, are you serious?
Yeah, they go looking for the childrens of the night, the runaways. They go looking for them. You come from a broken home, you need your lights off, your mama ain't there, your daddy ain't there, somebody in jail.
That's all the ones they want to promote. That's a mechanism to control. They want to control these athletes.
I'll tell you something else.
Especially these young men.
I'll tell you something else. Good Times been on TV how long? Good Times ain't stopped running in my lifetime. In my lifetime, Good Times ain't stopped running. On some network, on somewhere, JJ is dynamite, and they are in the hood.
Yep, it's running on TV One. I mean,
right now,
it's so crazy. TV One puts out no news to the community. Now, TV One is a controlled agency, meaning she has outside investors, but all she runs is those type of slapstick comedy. From way back.
The hood. I mean, you would think that's where we at. We gotta get our mindset out of there. That ain't where we at.
Yeah, they don't even have Capri Green no more.
Listen, man, still running that. I'll be happy if they would just run the Jefferson sometime. Because see, we moved on up.
No, they don't want to do that.
We on the east side.
We don't know.
In the sky. Do you hear me? Meanwhile, the regular black programming that is on is either Good Times or Different Strokes, or where and we appreciate you, Mr. Drummond, but was you the only one that mama could leave us with?
Yeah.
You hear me? Because we appreciate you. For real, Phil. We appreciate you. But we out there for nobody. Okay, well, all right, Phil. We appreciate it. Yeah, they want everybody to be like the Blind Side movie. And then that wasn't even the truth. That man got grown and said that woman ain't adopt me. You know what I'm saying?
She took guardianship in that check.
Yeah. That man said that woman ain't been adopt me. What? But we falling for this. These are narratives. These are stories we pulling. We were just Blind Side, everything. And then people got so mad about Blind Side that the actress lady was catching strays. And I'm like, it wasn't that what she was.
She was just acting in the movie.
Sandra Bullock was Sandra Bullock didn't really blindside y'all. I ain't gonna go down that. But listen, and I want to hear from y'all too. When you see media narratives play out, do you think it's bias or business? Is it unconscious prejudice or deliberate strategy to shape who the public supports and invests in? Think about that. Think about the images that they put out there. It matters. It matters. Images matter. Words matter, y'all. This why me and Lil be up here on Tuesdays and Thursdays having these conversations. But let's move into the second part of Malcolm's message, because we ain't gonna be up here all day. Economic exploitation. 1960s. I'm gonna go back to the 60s, even though I know y'all like Cess is 2025, but it's still relevant. He broke it down plain. Black labor, black talent, black creativity built America's wealth. While we were locked out of ownership, power, and fair pay. Does that sound familiar? Sports still show us the same script right now in 2025. Black women faces of the game. Reasons fan pull up. Reasons ratings spike. Reasons tickets sell out. Equal pay? Man, that man stood up and said, I don't care nothing about the negotiations. I can tell you now. You ain't getting none of that equity. 56, 50, 48, 50%. Ain't no percentages. No percentage you get a big.
Don't even look at it like that. Don't even look at it like that. I'm like,
what y'all looking for don't even make sense. How it don't? And it's making sense over there because we make a larger amount of money over here. And nah, man, the math ain't math, and that's okay. We're gonna get to it all now. Cause see, now everything, we're gonna open up everything now with this gambling thing. We're gonna get to it. But proper marketing, basic respect, all of that stuff is still a fight. WNBA wouldn't even exist without black women's culture, dominance, leadership. Yet the league's biggest stars make less than NBA rookies who never leave the bench. Think about that. The league's biggest stars make less than NBA rookies who never get off the bench.
Let's put on the uniform. They getting paid more.
And I'm not picking on anybody. But what did Bronny James sign for?
What was that? 20 million? 20 million over 4 years, 4 or 5 years?
Not a knock on him, because I think that the kid will grow into a journeyman and be who he's supposed to be in the NBA. And I have no expectation of him being his father, right? But Asia Wilson's the face of the league. She made $200,000 last year. Not saying that she needed Bronny James money, but at least the same percentages that Bronny James is afforded on basketball related income. Asia's definitely deserving of that, and so are the rest of the women. $billion brands are being built on their backs. Universities, TV networks, sneaker companies, global sponsors. Players see crumbs compared to what they create. That's the exploitation Malcolm was talking about. Now it's not plantations or factory floors. It's arenas, sneaker deals, endorsement contracts. Wildest part, they'll celebrate the culture of black excellence all day long while refusing to pay the creators of it. That's
Adam Silver. You just seen it in life. Adam Silver, real life. You hear me?
So Malcolm said that economic exploitation was about who controls the wealth, Lil, that black people produce. So when you see how black women dominate college hoops, league championship teams, carry entire leagues, but the real money still flows to the institutions and media networks, does that sound like progress, or is this just a new version of the same old game?
You know what? It's the same game. It just got a little fancier, scoreboard. But see, the faces might change, but the problem is that the structure hasn't. And so black women are filling arenas, driving the ratings, and building the brand value, but the money still flows upward, and not inward. It's a vertical, not horizontal at all. And so these universities and networks, they getting rich while these women who make it happen are told to be grateful for the exposure. I don't need no damn exposure. I need a paycheck. I need some generational wealth. I don't need to be exposed, And that's not progress. It's a method of the same exploitation that Malcolm warned us about. And it's still what we're seeing right now. What these women have endured these last 28 years of the league has been sharecropping, plain and simple, and it's the sponsorship, TV contracts. It's like they got an upgraded uniform, but I mean, the bottom line is, if you compare it to slavery, like my man did in a $40 million slave, it really ain't no different from how sports leagues and stuff. They only thing missing from them operating like plantations is that they ain't planting crops, but that is an at-will situation. So you jump on, you look at Shador in the NFL and how they are humiliating and abusing this young man, but he's at will. He so desperately wants to play for the NFL that he's enduring that abuse and see what you tolerate, you can't change. You know, he's going to have to make a decision at some point to move off of the NFL, you know, if he can't get to another team, because this particular team, the Cleveland Browns have decided, you know, we're going to exploit him for jersey sales. We're going to exploit him to keep media attention. We're going to exploit him to bring in sponsorship, but we're not going to play him. You know, anytime there's a shortage, we're going to bring in somebody else. I mean, it's just ridiculous what's going on.
Not just Cleveland. Not just Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders is the most talked about story in NFL this year.
Absolutely.
So Cleveland, ESPN, Fox, NBC, everybody that's running something that has anything to do with the NFL, to me, every show has something about Shedeur every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. Shedeur doesn't have one real down in a regular season game yet that I can think of. The exploitation is crazy.
Listen, this young man gifted the entire NFL $250 million just from his jersey sale. Now that was split between all of the team owners. He got $15 million as his cut, which is still robbery. But that money went into the coffers of the NFL, spread it around. Everybody shake, rattling, and rolling. And then what they won't do is give him the tools or the opportunity in this case to get out there and play. And that's the perfect definition of exploitation. You know, they loud with it. Nobody's checking it. You know, other black men are powerless to do anything about it because, you know, you can't say, well, we're going to strike it. We're not going to play, you know, because everybody's going to look out for their individual self. You've even had some men on that team that have come out and spoken out about it. But until the fans say, no, we're not going to buy tickets. We're not going to, you know, support this because the fans are in fact complicit in what's happening to this young man, all because you don't want it to be, you know, too many black quarterbacks versus too many white quarterbacks. I mean, it's really just ridiculous, but it's back to that same old thing. You know, they want control and his confidence, you know, coming into the league, not needing the league financially, you know, is what really ticked them off. You know, you open up the world of NIL and then you go punish him for using it. I mean, it's absurd, but that's what's going on.
Let's stay right there too. Let's talk NIL deals and these brand sponsorships, because why do we see white athletes with less success or visibility getting $1 million deals while black women have to prove their worth over and over again? Is that bias? Is that continuation of a system that always tries to profit off black excellence without sharing the power? What is that? Because I be seeing people in deals and I'd be like, who is that? And they'd be like, that's so-and-so. They play for so-and-so. Who? Do they score? Oh, well, you know,
it was cute.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, make it make sense. So, what are your thoughts there? Why do we see this type of disproportionate?
You know what? It's really not a coincidence, Cess. You know, the NIL world just exposed what's always been true, and that's that people making the decision about who's marketable, they still operating, you know, racial and gender bias that's already baked into the system. So these white athletes get rewarded for being relatable because they damn sure be doing it on the court. But black women, you know, and even some of these brothers, they getting penalized for being real. You can't even be yourself these days. And then they'll use our culture to sell product, but don't want to cut us in on none of the profit.
Oh,
you know.
Man.
And that's why I call it modern plantation economics. You know, it's just control everything. We could build a brand. You know, you look at what Reese is out here doing independently, because she's not at all involved in the league marketing. And then Chicago, they so desperate to bring them dollars back. They trying to squeeze her into some marketing all of a sudden when they was first standing on their little swords about her getting gone. You know, but you just looking at these people being exploited like this, it's just really outrageous. But you know, that's what they do. They use our culture to sell their product, But when you come up there talking about E, did you say E? You know, equity, you know, empowerment, profit. That's bad words.
Man, look, and you don't even have to be a star. It happens in everyday life. I seen a story. Now the 3 policemen went to lunch together. Okay, the 3 policemen went to lunch together. They got to the Chick-fil-A. I'm gonna call their name. They got to the Chick-fil-A. They ordered their food. It was two white officers and a black officer. The 2 white officers, they didn't ask them to pay for their food at all. They got that black one. Now they in their uniform now. They told that man, pay for your food. He said he was so humiliated. Like, you don't have the same respect for me in this, not even in this uniform. I mean, first you gotta know who you are, bro. Right? Cause they'll remind you. But you know, I believe that the officers that were with him, like, you know, like stepped in and they had something to say and they, you know, contacted Chick-fil-A and all of that. But it also goes to show too how we can be pitted against each other. Mm-hmm. Because and a lot of times we don't even recognize that. Because at the end of the day, it ain't even really about black or white, it's about the green. Mm-hmm. They push the narrative to get the money. And that's why I said the bigger the ones that's eating the best in here is the shoe companies and the people who don't have to pick a side. Because they're gonna put shoes on everybody. They're gonna put everybody on their platforms. Right? So they don't really have to pick a side. They can just manipulate bullshit in both arenas.
Yeah,
and we got to be able to push back on that.
Yeah, Nike digging into the culture, you know, dealing with Asia, you know, all in the culture. You know, they're using culture to sell it.
Nike paying Asia and Nike paying Caitlin. Mm-hmm. But in the social media world and in other places, these two groups have been pitted against each other. They're not even on the same level, right? Mm-hmm. Shit, Nike paying Caitlin, Asia, Nafisa, through Jordan, right? Do y'all think, and this is a question for the chat, do you think black women in sports should start building their own leagues, media companies, partnerships to control their value? Or do you think change can really come from within these systems that were never designed for us to win? What is the real play? Is it reform or revolution? Like, do you really think, and Lil, this is a question for you too. Do you think the CBA really changes the game? Can they change this game with this CBA?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. When that man come on national television and tell you, I'm not giving you a goddamn dime in terms of a percentage, and open his mouth, looked even the little commentator was like, what? You ain't even. And so that's why 70 more lawmakers had to get on board. That's not dealing in good faith. You know, it's telling me, chick, meaning bitch, you gonna take what I give you because I'm the pimp and you the hoe. That's pretty much what he was saying. And that was so disrespectful because bottom line is the league is predominantly black and brown players. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Absolutely.
So you and another thing I want to point out, you gotta remember that the men's league, the NBA, started with white men. Remember, black men couldn't play in the league.
That's correct.
And so that's why they had more of a mentality of a partnership. But you're talking about some bed wenches over here. That's the mentality that they're putting on these black women, and that's how they look at them. I'm not paying you. How dare you talk about a partnership and getting some money off of Y? You don't know who Y is? Although he get ready to go to the Senate explain that gambling. People like that with that mentality, you can forget changing them. It'll never happen. They're not going to do it unless they're forced. You know what power concedes nothing without a demand. And you get a demand from Congress. You get a demand from these women, congressional caucus out here, other and these lawmakers that are jumping on are lawmakers where these teams, you know, the cities where these teams are. You got councilmen getting on. You got candidates running for for mayor of New York, he on board with it. This is outrageous and ridiculous for you to go on a. That's not dealing in good faith at all. And I just still believe that they're gonna I think they would rather dissolve the WNBA than to pay them a dime. That's how mentally they are locked in to not giving black women and brown women the kind of money that would allow them to create generational wealth. They act like these women creating generational wealth. It sounds like it's a bigger threat than men creating generational wealth. Well, it's easier to control men because you can use women to control men. That's why you see so many brothers being hurriedly introduced, to white women, because then you can control their wealth through them having kids, through these marriages and stuff like that. Because what happens at the end of your career, she wind up divorcing you and taking almost all your fortune. So
okay, let's stay right here for a second. Because the other thing that we got to look at is who are our true allies, right? So the Stewies, the Sabrinas, the Kelsey Plums, the white players of the league. What does their support need to look like back to these black women? They have to also be able to, they have to also call out the entitlement, right? I got a homegirl. I got a white homegirl named Elizabeth. She'll call out entitlement before me. She get mad about it. You didn't notice that? No, I didn't. She gonna talk to me first because I'm white. You didn't notice it? I didn't notice it. I do, and that's why I'm calling it out. You need those type of people in your corner. What does their support need to look like?
I kind of put it like this: the way that the league is kind of set up, and how they're leaning towards what they have allowed Caitlyn to do, she would be the catalyst, I think. Stewie is on board, got no problem with that, but if Caitlyn don't get on board and put her foot down, then you got a possibility of doing a lockout and then having,
it's her
other women.
Is her putting her foot down saying open the books? Is her putting her foot down saying pay the women? Is her putting her foot down saying I'm not playing no more till we get the what is her putting her foot down look like to you?
All three.
Okay.
It look like all three. Look, we want a percentage. I'm putting my foot down about not playing, and
now, if she was as outrageous as she gets about the fouls and stuff and the refs not making calls, if she was that outrageous about the CBA and the money being, think about that. You know how outrageous she get? Come on, make the call, all of that. If she was as outrageous and as lively about the CBA and the mistreatment of these women and how they're paid and the disparities, would that help the situation? Or do you think they would try to silence her at that point?
I think because she's kind of kind of in the pocket, if you will, you listen to Kathy's comments, I think her position is to try to stay neutral. I don't, but she for the sake of women and the future of basketball, she needs to step forward with aggression, and I think she could influence the fans in such a way that they could really become a threat. But will she do it? I don't think so, because I think she's already bought and sold.
Oh man,
they'll pull you to the side and tell you, look, we're gonna take care of you. We're gonna make sure you have generational wealth. You stand down, and then we'll let until these black women cave in, black and brown women cave in. Unfortunately, the way they've positioned her, she's pretty important, but she not know. I'm trying to think of this revolutionary this real liberal woman. I can't recall her name, but I don't see her like that. She gonna go on the
You
golf
don't see her
course.
getting involved. Okay.
Nah, she gonna keep that mouth shut and keep them dollars flowing in. That's my opinion. I might be totally wrong. She might come out of a bag. We don't know, but I don't see it because like I said, I believe she's been bought and sold. She's been sold a game, and she's bought into the fact that we can change the whole apparatus of basketball and make your vision and what you bring to the table the face of a global league, which is a miscalculation. It's a miscalculation. The world is changing.
Definitely a miscalculation.
If the United States run out there with her face as the global face of basketball, they're gonna get a rude awakening when they get to the global South. When they get to
do you expect it? Do you expect her to be the face of our Olympic team?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I expect them to try to push her that way, but I don't think her leading the charge would result in another goal. That's just my opinion. I just don't see that. I just don't see that. I don't. Let me tell you, a guy was in France when they had the last Olympics, and this guy was bragging about, all these United States, gold medals they don't won and stuff like that. But at the same time, trying to talk down black athletes, and the dude just told him, he said, "Oh, you erased them Black American gold medals, and you ain't walking around here running nothing." And that was the absolute truth, So, the attempted erasure, it's gonna be hard to do in a social media age. I mean, of course, you can always try, but it's gonna be difficult to do. And the rest of the world just don't want to see a her or a him out here with this global dominance, because they have just had it up to their split ends with the homogeny, of the United States, and people just not willing to put up with it no more. And see, basketball is growing globally, all over Africa, all over your Asian countries, all over China. These people are building, and you're gonna see incredible talent come out, but that just wouldn't be wise for USA basketball and stuff like that to try to push her off on the rest of the world like that. Because I don't think in this climate that's gonna work. But her importance to the CBA, because she needs to see, if I was her, of course I'm not her, but I'm saying if she was really being aggressive, she'd have checked Adam, and told him, "Sir, that's not dealing in good faith. And yes, we are going to sit at the table because I'm backing up everything Nafisa and them got going, and we looking at a percent, and we're gonna start, with a 60-40 split. Because I'm gonna tell you all something, that little percentage that they sold to this so-called hedge fund, that's 6 owners in the WNBA. They done got them a hedge fund, and then
oh wow,
the lady got fleeced. Now she's supposed to be some, big business person and stuff. Every analyst out there in the financial sector say the woman got fleeced to give up that big a percentage that she could have gave to the players. But I mean, I don't, because I'm still trying to figure out, what did y'all do with the money? Because you ain't market but one person. I know she ain't take no $75 million to put out. So yeah, they say she got smoked in that deal. And everybody thinking she's some kind of financial wizard. They don't know what they're talking about.
She did a bad deal. Okay. That's wild. Okay, and because I swear I'm not gonna keep y'all here all night. Let's hit the third part of Malcolm's message: the political oppression. Because he wasn't just talking about voting rights. Okay, when we get to talking about political oppression, we're not just talking about voting rights. I need y'all to understand it. We talking about systems that built to silence, restrict, and control who gets to lead. If that don't sound like sports, I don't know what does. You black women have carried women's sports for decades, on the court, on the field, in the stands. But when it's time for coaching jobs, executive roles, ownership seats, Door slam shut. You don't even know where the door is. They don't even slam the door shut. Where the door is to get into those roles. If a black woman dares to demand accountability, now there she go being difficult. Truth to power, too outspoken. Be quiet, woman. That's not accident. That's control. College programs, pro leagues, boardrooms that sign the checks. It's the same imbalance Malcolm called out 60 years ago. The system still says, be quiet, be grateful, stay in your place. Now it's wrapped in corporate PR, though. Shiny diversity slogans. Call it what it is, political oppression in a tracksuit. Malcolm warned what the system would always, that the system was always going to resist when black people started demanding control over their own destiny. So when we look at what's happening right now, with players speaking up about pay equity, travel standards, ownership, is this the same kind of resistance Malcolm described? And then are these women facing modern political oppression just for asking to be treated fairly?
I mean, you can see that right in look at the what Chicago Sky did to Angel Reese. You know, suspending her for just stating that we have certain needs. We need you to invest in us in order for us to get better. And you're gonna suspend me for that? I wouldn't have played in another game. And if I was her, I would not put that uniform on again. So it's without a doubt. Every time black women demand more than just symbolism, you know, the system hits them with, backlash, be quiet, or they punish, just like I was describing in the case of Angel Reese. And that's the same resistance Malcolm was describing, because real change threatens power. And so these women aren't just asking for perks, they're asking for parity. And the system doesn't know what to do with players that it's been profiting off, from start to finish, start acting like partners instead of property. Adam Silver sees these women as property. He doesn't see them as partners, or anybody to enter into a partnership with, even though 99% of them probably got degrees. Many of them have advanced degrees. They're doing smart things with their money. He still see them as a property, just got off the boat. Come on over here, get together. We're going to brush you off with a little water, and you get out here and you play for us. So, yeah, it is political oppression in motion. Every fine, every negative headline, and every delay in progress is part of that pushback. They're not trying to change the CBA. He keep talking about key performance indicators, key growth indicators. But you don't even want to tell me what those are. Would you expect me to sit down at the negotiation table and shake my head, yes, Amasa? Yes, Amasa, because that is what that band is expected from them. If these women smart, they better push on, because you dealing with a plantation mentality. It's not going to change, and you negotiating in probably the worst political climate you could think of. You got white grievance politics, white men trying to reestablish their dominance and control. Like I said, if Kamala had won the election, the CBA probably would have been signed the minute they opted out. But you in a political climate where boss saying you don't have to. You could legally exploit these women, because what they're doing to these women is really a form of legalized theft. They're stealing their value, they're extracting their value, and there's really no exchange. But this is the way that they're trying to, reconfigure the Supreme Court to do things to make everything, hey, it's theft, but it's legalized. Slavery was legalized theft. The stealing of this land from ocean to ocean. That was a form of legalized theft. But because it was legal, and that's the attitude of why they don't want to pay reparations. Well, slavery was legal. That doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it moral. But it made it it was the law of the land. So there it is.
Kid High Life in the building. Like this, share, because they both right there. Thank you. Geechee Lions Journey YouTube channel. What's happening, fam? Here's the thing I think too about Adam. Adam is just dated, right? Like Adam's born in 62. right?
Mm-hmm.
Adam's born in 62. I don't know if he was born into wealth, but he's probably had some wealth for a great deal of like Adam probably doesn't know like what a gallon of milk costs, right? Like his life is like that. He's not ready for the women that he's gonna sit down at the table with this time. And I wonder if he's even the one that's gonna sit at the table. I wonder will he be the one that actually sits at the table? Is he gonna send what's her name? What's her face in there? What's her name? Kathy.
Kathy.
He gonna say what's her face in there? Yeah, he gonna say Kathy in there. Is he gonna come sit at the table with her? Cause see, I don't think that he's ever sat at the table. I know Kathy ain't, cause she said she only see Asian when she dropped the trophy off to her every other year. So I know Kathy ain't sat at the table with them. Adam, have you ever sat at the table with them? I think they're gonna talk circles around you. I'm really interested to know who goes in that room to sit at the table because there's I believe Satu, Stewie, Nafisa, NECA, Elizabeth Williams is the secretary or treasurer or something like that. I think she's in there.
Mm-hmm. Secretary.
And then I don't know if there are player representatives from each team. So I don't know if I think Sanaya Fagan is the representative for the Sparks.
Yeah, everyone has 2 representatives from each
so
team.
Then you got so now this is who you finna sit across the table from. These is different from the black women you were seeing. Let me see, when he was about 15, 17, about 77. Yeah. Oh, listen, sir. You it's 2025. I don't know if he's ready for this. I don't know if he's ready for what this looks like, and if he really sits down at the table. I think he's really out of touch. And then it was just like, you sound real tough for how you weight carry.
Mm-hmm.
About what you ain't gonna do and what you ain't gonna get. That's crazy. It just
and don't even start. That's not nowhere to start the conversation. Percentages is not the right word.
You don't know where to start the conversation, man, because you ain't been a part of this. But again, it just shows that lack of respect, right? That entitlement. But the system, Malcolm warned the system would resist when black people started demanding control. Why do you think so few black women are in executive or ownership positions in sports when they're the heart of the game? Do you think the system fears their power? Is it intentionally built to keep them out of room? I think it's intentional, but where change actually happens, or you think it's just by accident?
No,
you let me know.
It's fear and design. See, the system fears the influence of black women because we lead with truth, and truth exposes imbalance. But it's intentional because these power structures were built to keep decision making white, male, and exclusive. And this is what we see Adam Silver's trying to do. He don't even want to hear from them. Ain't no negotiation. I'm going to make the decision because I'm a white male and I have the right to exclusively make that decision. He's not even asking for the input. So black women have always been good enough to build an empire, but the claim is that they're not qualified to run it. And that's no accident. That's the architecture of the system that they built the WNBA into. And until we start breaking down the walls and building our own institutions, that imbalance will stay right where it is. He meant what he said.
Oh, he meant it. Oh, he said it with his chest. I ain't never seen Adam talk
out.
I ain't never seen him talk so. I ain't never seen him talk so tough. I said, "Who said
right? Ears all perked up."
Yeah, I said, "Oh, he feeling himself today, man. Yeah. He had his weed.
He had his bowl of Wheaties.
Yeah, man, he feeling himself today. But he ain't gonna get, man. That's wild.
And where we ain't gonna even start the conversation. That's what really blew me out.
I'm trying to figure out how you at the table. You ain't a W in the NBA, sir. You run the NBA, or do you? See, now let's get to that part. You really been running the WNBA? What kind of check you getting out the deal? What money you make off the dub? What ownership you got? Let's open up the books. Let's see what everybody getting around here.
I don't believe they want to open the books. This young man got a podcast. It's some basketball on a cap. I can't even think of the name of. But he did bring up a good point. He said he believed they don't want to open the books because they may be taking all the NBA trash and bad assets and putting it on the WNBA books. But my thing is that The man done put his stick in the sand, he go down the sword, this, that, and the other. So no more talk. Just take it to court. Because that's the only way you're gonna really get the truth. And you better take it to court now and not try to wait for the next time to take it, because the way they change the laws up there, because they're trying to strip the civil rights bill right now. You know, you hearing oral arguments, on stripping that bill completely. I mean, they get ready, just flip the whole thing. And the bottom line is this country is gonna turn into a country that ain't about nothing but money. And that's how they doing it. The women of the WNBA are never gonna get this chance again. And even the lawmakers who signed that letter, they were saying, they said across industries, this WNBA, CBA is just that important. So, all the way down to the local council people, everybody see this as a game changer. Across a whole lot of industries where you got these kind of things teetering, right now. So if they fold, then they're gonna kill it for everybody coming behind them. And this will be the most talked about collapse, in union negotiations. So this this gonna be a fight.
Oh yeah, and Geechee Lions Journey YouTube channel. Welcome into the chat. Unrivaled. Oh, listen, we big up Unrivaled around here. Nafisa Collier. While she's not an MVP in WNBA terms, she should be celebrated for what her and Stewie are building over there. Definitely have built the blueprint of equity and ownership that league should look at. Right, they really value the labor and the product that's being put on the floor. So we definitely, looking at Unrivaled, we're watching this Upshot League to see what their pay is going to look like, and if they're going to have any equity built in. Athletes Unlimited. I mean, it's options out there. So welcome to the conversation. But here's the bottom line: if you don't own a checkbook, you don't get the change. That's it. If you don't own a checkbook, you don't get no change. That's it. Black women athletes are proving this already through NIL deals, fashion collabs, independent ventures that flip the power dynamic. Step 3 is the leadership, not playing the game, run it. From the sidelines to the boardroom to the ownership suites. That's where the shift has to happen. I'm going to tell you again, if you don't own a checkbook, you don't own the change. The system is not going to hand us power. You got to build your own. We got to build our own infrastructure. We protect us. We invest in us. That's how we move from survival to sovereignty. So the question is simple. Are we ready to stop talking awareness and start moving into action? Malcolm always said freedom isn't something you're given. It's something you take. So when you see athletes like Nafisa Collier, co-founder of Unrivaled, Angel Reese, Flaugier, building brands, businesses, do you see that as the new wave of liberation in sports? Are they rewriting the rules in a way that Malcolm would have applauded? Lil, your thoughts?
Hey, what these women doing? Absolutely, straight up liberation. And they're not waiting on the system to validate them. They create new systems where they control the money, the message, and the movement. And that's exactly what Malcolm was talking about, taking ownership of your own power. So when the FISA builds a league, or Angel and Flaugier building them empires, that's what freedom in motion looks like. And they're not just playing the game, they're changing who owns the court. And that's what's so important, and the thing we cannot overlook. And we fans, we got to support these ladies. I mean, hard, and not just get, traumatized and mesmerized by narratives being put out about them. These are trailblazers, and they blazing a new trail for blacks in a new century. And so it's important that all of us pay attention and get on board. Everybody need to be in social media, using their currency wisely, tagging them, not, pushing back, like Cess said, push back on them dumb narratives. Don't just let that stuff fly and keep spreading. And don't you spread it, by clicking on it and posting it, this, that, and the other.
I think I lost your audio for a second, Lil.
Yeah.
But yeah, my bad, y'all. Yeah, push back on these narratives, and if you do, repost it with the truth on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just be reposting it for somebody to see. Repost it for somebody to get the real truth. Let me know. See, here's the thing: slave owner doesn't want the slave to be equal to them. I get that part, but here's the thing: if slavery ended, then quit walking around with your owner attitude. That's the thing. You can't. If slavery is truly over and everybody is free, quit walking around with your owner attitude. Get the
Mm-hmm.
ownership. Get the ownership out the system. We have enough tools, resources. We smart enough as a nation to eradicate this bullshit out of the systems as soon as we want it out. Let me ask you this though, Lil. Media power is a big part of control. If mainstream sports outlets keep ignoring or misframing Black women, how important is it for us to build our own media ecosystems to tell these stories right? And think about that. We have women who have ownership in media now. You know, we just was talking about together. We just was talking about Simone Manuel. We just was talking about Angel Reese, the ownership that they have in together. This is a media platform. Can true equity exist if we don't control the microphone?
Well, we can't talk about equality if you don't control the narrative. That's just the bottom line. Because media is the modern plantation gate. It decides who gets seen, who gets silenced, and who gets sold. So that's why building our own media spaces is non-negotiable. That has to happen. And when we tell our own story, we take back the power to define ourselves instead of being defined by bias. And this is why Jet, Ebony, and some of these platforms that came out, media platforms of the 70s, was so important. But then, power came back in 1996 and swallowed up these Black owned media outlets. So now it's social media. We have to get out here on social media and get these stories told in the right way. Because true equity can't exist without narrative control. Narrative control is everything. Because whoever holds the mic, they hold the memory. And so it's time that the mic belongs to us. And this is what part of what Cess and I are doing in building Respect Her Game. It's an advocacy group. We want to train people to become, media pushers. We want you all to, everybody pick up a mic, so that we're not getting drowned out by a very few people that look like it's a lot, but it's really not.
I mean, listen, y'all know us. We broke down the economic, political sides of Malcolm's message. Now we got to get active. Now we got to talk solutions. This is what we talking about. The Respect Her Game advocacy. Malcolm, he didn't never just name the problem. Gave us a roadmap. Organize, educate, own. Organize, educate, own. I just said if you don't got the checkbook, if you don't own the checkbook, you don't get the change. Period. That hits harder than ever for Black women in sports right now. Organize, educate, own. We know how the system degrades, exploits, and suppresses. The question is, how do we reclaim the power that has always been ours? Step one, media. Stop letting other people write our story. Stop letting other people write our story. You got a story to tell. I got a story to tell. Lil got a story to tell. Tell your story. That was one of the biggest things that we did. That was one of my favorite pastimes as a kid. Hanging out with my elders, listening to their stories.
Mm-hmm.
I pull more on the stories of my elders in my day-to-day life and moving around than I do any lesson that I got in school. Tell your story. Step two is the economics. What up, MJ? We walked through the message from the 60s and connected it straight to 2025. social degradation, economic exploitation, political oppression. His words still echo in every arena when Black women fight to be seen, heard, and respected, y'all. And let's be real. Black women never waited for permission. We was just talking about Rosa Parks. She didn't wait for no permission. She sat down because I ain't getting up. I'm tired. I don't need your permission to sit here. I'm not. It always started with, and I'm not, and I ain't, or and did. We've been leading, building, and inspiring even when the system tried to lock us out. Excellence was never the question. Recognition has never. Listen, recognition ain't never been given up front. It's always been delayed. It's always delayed. Delayed does not mean denied. That's Asia's mantra.
Mm-hmm.
The lesson that Malcolm gave us was clear, though. Liberation begins the moment we stop asking for permission to be powerful. Black women in sports, more than athletes. They get pissed at me because they be like, Auntie, it's not that big a deal. Yeah, words matter. Push back. Yes, it does. Black women don't have to wait. We don't need nobody to tell us that we great. We are great.
Mm-hmm.
We see it. We see the excellence. Auntie, you don't have, yeah, you do. I don't mind being, listen. I'm old enough that I've been the angry Black woman long enough. It don't bother me no more. But I'm okay being the angry Black woman so that the ones coming behind me don't get labeled that. You won't label them that. That's empowerment. That's confidence. Respect that. Love that. We're innovators. We're entrepreneurs, activists, culture builders, culture shifters. Every time they step on the court, the field, the track, wherever, the boxing ring, wherever, they carry a legacy of resistance and resilience. That's on us to protect that. It's on us to amplify that. And it's on us to make sure that the next generation doesn't have to fight the same battles twice.
Exactly. And that's where the real work begins. Family, listen, we can't just talk about supporting Black women in sports. We have to show up for them. And that means following, donating, sharing their stories, and investing in a movement that uplifts their voices. And so that's why we want you all to join us in the advocacy group Respect Her Game by visiting www.respecthergameonline.online. And it's more than just a hashtag. It's a commitment to building a culture that values, protects, and promotes our queens in every arena. So please join, spread the word, comment, support these women who are rewriting the rules and reclaiming their power. And I'll leave y'all with this. A system can't erase what we refuse to forget. Every act of recognition, every dollar spent in support, and every story shared is a step towards justice and equality our ancestors dreamed of. So keep on pushing, y'all. Keep on amplifying our sisters, and keep loving on our queen out loud. I love you. Out loud. Because when we uplift them, we uplift everybody, and that's what has to happen in these very, very trying times.
Yo, and to everybody tuned in, thank you. Thank you for pulling up for this episode of PoliSports Tea Time. We appreciate y'all. Remember, sports never just about the games we play. This is just the first episode in this series, so we will continue this conversation about what Malcolm saw way back in the 60s and the plan that he laid out to be able to help us move. The other things we should be looking for to help us identify and counter the negative narratives projected at us is the specific sources that are continuously doing the labeling. Great call out, MJ. Listen, y'all know sports is never just about the games we play. They're about the systems we expose, the stories we reclaim, and the power we demand. We sip the truth, we spill the tea, we serve the people. I'm Cess, your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies, and that's Political Lil, PoliSports Tea Time. Y'all stay tuned. Talk soon. Hey, man, we out.